Dudes, this is finally happening. Jon Chase and I are going to line up Try-Fi by Fire and Blasphemy at the NHRA Winternationals February 8th and 9th, 2019 at the Fairplex in Pomona. And in this episode of Finnegan's Garage, I'm doing more work to make sure I win this drag race because the loser is going to lose their beard right there at the track in front of you guys. Go to NHRA.com to find out more info and get your tickets. I hope to see you there. Mooresville, North Carolina, home of Bigun Customs, and this is Eric Yost. He's done work on this car before. In fact, he's pretty much the man responsible for getting it into the 8s. When the car came in here during drag week, it was a 920, 930 car. When it left, we ran a 9 flat the very next day, and by the end of drag week, we ran our 897. Post drag week, we found some things wrong. We found holes in the links and the mounting points on the suspension that were wallered out because the bolts had come loose. We knew our anti-roll bar was too small and probably not attached as best as it could be. So today, Eric's gonna help us put in a new anti-roll bar, a lighter steering column, and we're gonna repair our link mounts. What do you see?
I mean, for the way of the car and the length of the ladder bar and everything, the anti-roll bar is really small. The way it's mounted with the U-bolts and the bushings, it's just not a good attachment point. And we're going from probably a 7/8 1-inch bar to a 2-inch bar.
King Kong, Jesus.
So that will solve our problem.
Wow.
Yeah, it's PAC's brand new anti-roll bar that we're going to custom make, and it'll be on bearings here, so it'll be all nice and free, and it will probably be, I would say, 5 to 8 times stronger than what we got in it. So it should take our chassis flex out, hopefully leave straight every time instead of the from one pass to the other not being consistent. This should help us out.
Yeah, it was not consistent. I was not consistent. I've never left on a 2-step in the car for a variety of reasons. So I would be leaving at like 3,000 RPM, and anytime I tried to leave at more than 3,000, this car would twist like a pretzel and go left. And so I'm hoping this solves it. I'm pretty sure, based on what I'm seeing, this will keep the car flat and leave straight. I always thought PAC just made springs. I didn't know they made anti-roll bars.
So they've been in the torture bar business. They do a ton of sprint car, a ton of circle track stuff.
Okay.
Now we're trying to branch out into the drag race stuff, and I especially want to do the drag race small tire stuff, where this is probably going to be a 30 to 32 inch bar, where in history and before you can only get a 2-inch bar and like 16 inches wide. So this is going to be one of the first for small tire stuff. So that's what we're trying to branch out to.
So guys like me that have a wider rear end, we're not running super wide tires, we now have an option for a beefy anti-roll bar.
Yes.
And because the ends are aluminum, this might not be heavier than what I'm
Right. Yep.
Cool. All right. Get you back. My horn's falling off. Wait, my horn. Oh, you know what? When we took out the car seats, we lost the mounting bolts for my horn. I can't believe it's still in there. That's a motorcycle horn. You have to have a horn for drag week. So I went online and I found a motorcycle horn, and I bolted it under the car because I didn't want to drill any holes through the car. And I mounted it to where the kids' car seats were bolted through the floor. We'll fix that later.
I thought that was an odd place for a horn to be.
It was really good. So we took the rear end out of the car so that we could weld in our new anti-roll bar. Mounts are going to go right in this area. We still got to knock some of the powder coating off the chassis. Yeah, that's right. This chassis originally powder coated when Jon and I Racing built it way back in, I don't know, what was that, 2014? So we're about to get rid of all that, move the brake line out of the way, weld our mounts right here, and then start reinstalling things right before we fix these messed up holes in our ladder bar mounting brackets.
Look at this.
It's a little wallered out right there. So the solution for fixing our oblong holes is to install some washers on there and then TIG weld them to the brackets. This is 4
The problem
notes.
with these bars, the way they attach here, even like a through bolt aluminum.
Oh,
So
Wait a minute.
It has to move that far before it starts to.
Holy cow, so is this end slipping on this?
Yes. I mean, you got 3,200 pound car, 1,000 horsepower. It's going to have some force through this thing.
So
that did nothing.
Right. It has to move that far before it goes
Right.
in.
At least
for the first.
it might have done something the very first time
Yeah.
I left the starting line, but every time after that,
Right.
Got worse and worse every day.
That's the benefit of the spline. The spline can't move.
Right.
okay. We're already improving. Just by taking it off the car, dude.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah. It's a D and it's already worn it out. So maybe the first time it was okay, but it wore out the hole in that. Probably driving down the road.
A
It
couple
came
thousand
loose.
miles will do that.
Yeah, it came loose going down the road. And,
Especially with all the weight in the back of that thing from drag week and stuff.
yeah, we were
Yeah.
carrying a lot of weight.
Yeah, I bet that
Yeah.
will wear it
I
out.
had about 6 boxes of t-shirts I brought with me that didn't sell.
Yeah, I remember when you were here for drag week, when you started unloading it, it was like a clown car all of a sudden.
Oh, it was horrible. It was the car.
Yep.
The car was so overloaded. We had to have 2 sets of springs for the car: the race springs and the carry the t-shirts down the highway springs. We're not doing that next year at Drag Week.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not ideal, but could you get the slop out of that just by adjusting that?
when we scaled it out at Drag Week, I think we adjusted a little bit of this to get some preload on the right rear, and that's what we were probably doing, maxing it out. But it could take a ½ inch of adjustment here to get it
Right.
maxed out.
Right.
But, then who's to say it's going to wear out or put more pressure on that D and wear it out going to the track?
Yeah, and we were probably out of adjustment. There's
Yeah.
probably not much thread left on there, so.
What are you going to lay that eventually?
You're gonna make that other bar feel a little bit inadequate.
Oh my God. Dude,
Holy cow!
that is a slight upgrade.
What's the wall thickness on that tube?
250 volt.
1/4 inch wall. It's like
That is insane.
3/4 inch, 7/8 inch thick aluminum. So that will get welded into that. That will get turned into, I don't know, go-kart parts.
Yeah, so basically now we'll clock it to where the splines are in line. So we don't want it in the car like that. They'll be nice and level and straight.
So even though it's splined and you have adjustment, you could still get stuck between teeth and have it not perfectly straight.
Correct.
So having a flat surface is a good idea when you weld this. What welder we got?
Dynasty 300.
Dynasty 300. Welding at 199 amps.
That's the old school now. I got my Dynasty 200 for all the roll cage stuff. But, they got a 350 and a 400 now.
And is this chrome ollie tubing?
DOM and Molly. With the torsional load and everything, the Molly really won't affect what we're trying to do here.
Okay.
It's just the DOM versus the Molly is not gonna make that big a difference.
Got it. Oh, smoke looks so cool.
We've got the root pass in. Now I'm starting the first weave pass, and I'll weave one more in on top of that.
So if you notice, our anti-roll bar just got a little bit bigger in diameter. That's because we have sleeved it with this tubing, and this is how we're going to attach it to the car. So we'll slide that off right there, right? This tubing is sliding over the anti-roll bar, and it has a bearing pressed into each end. And that bearing is what allows the arm to rotate, just like that. And so we'll weld mounts onto the car that mounts this tube, and then control arm will have a link from here down to the axle mounts. And then the car goes straight. Check out the Mittler Brothers tubing notcher. That beats the hell out of a hole saw. Wow. There's 1 3/4 chromoly tubing. It's going through it like it's butter. Man. That's cool. Get you high, Dave. Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. You ain't got nothing to do.
Professional taper.
All right, Picasso. I think you just sprayed the lens of the camera. Did you get your eye?
It's all in my eyes, it's in my nose, you know.
Is it in your contacts?
I don't wear a mask or a seatbelt. Just touching your baby up. Trying to look out for you.
I can't tell. Is it paint or primer you're spraying?
Primer.
Oh, all right.
I'm just going around touching your car up, you know. Getting all the rust I can find, baby.
You're adding weight, man.
Oh, my bad.
I'm just kidding. Rub that off. This is my new long travel rear suspension. It'll go drag racing and it'll enter hydraulic hopping contest. Some lowrider stuff right there. Getting close. Rear end is painted. Got new tabs welded on here for our anti-roll bar. And got washers TIG welded in here for our ladder bar mounts. That fixed the holes. Also made our bolts a little too short, so we're gonna go find some longer grade 8 hardware. Swing the rear end up, put the coilovers in, and then assemble our links that will connect new anti-roll bar there down to our axle.
That turned out so good.
Awesome.
That is legit.
We tightened it down, but
Yeah, so that's another thing is stiction. So stiction is the, see how that heim's kind of bottomed out? If your heims rub each other, they can slide on the sides. So usually try to get them in the middle, like you can stick a little screwdriver in one side when you tighten it, just so the monoball is in the center.
one side.
Right.
Right.
So that way you can come in here and flop like that. So you got movement. So you know that one's free.
So that one's free, but this one's not because the heim is kicked to one side.
Correct.
Oh yeah, that's tight as.
Four leg bars.
I'm not gonna tell you who did which side.
That guy's not here. I'm sure he's somewhere else, like getting pizza or something.
4 leg bars are really bad because you got 4 of them to worry about.
So baseline, put this thing on the ground. What's the base adjustment for it?
Level ground, tire pressure is huge.
Okay.
Make sure your tires are set to what you're going to be running at. Front tire pressure is huge on wedge, moving weight to the back. Driver in the car, level ground, tires set, neutral. So if you can come under here and flop the one side, we have neutral and a roll bar.
Okay.
Basically the pinion's riding the ring gear, so it's trying to plant the left rear, raise the right rear, and the torque of the motor is just doing just opposite. So the anti-roll bar takes that out. So if it starts to leave and pull one way or the other, that's when we start preloading one side or the other of the anti-roll bar.
So if it goes left, what do we do then?
If it is pulling left, that means it's driving the right side more. So it's got more traction to go that way, so you can actually preload the left side to put more pressure on this tire.
Okay, and so preloading it would be shortening the arm or lengthening the arm?
You can pushing down on it. Well, yes, if you push down on this side, it's going to lift that side, push this side.
Okay. And you'll push down on it by making the arm longer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And longer, these are left hand and right hand heims, so longer would be spinning it.
Depends which one's left, which one's right.
Yeah. I can't remember. And what, like a quarter of a turn, a half turn to start?
Yeah, with this bar, it's so stiff, it's going to make a pretty big swing. So, yeah, I would do quarter turn, half turn increments. If we had it on scales, we could really tell how much
a turn does.
How much turns does what, and that's what I like to do sometimes. If we scale it here, we know what we got, and then we'll know when we get to the track. All right, a half a turn gives us 30 more pounds of pressure.
Okay.
A full turn gives us 100 more pounds of pressure. Whatever. So have some baselines when you get to the track. You're not shooting in the dark.
Would it be a good idea to put marks on these so you can kind of actually
I do. Yep. I always
so you
do.
can see how far you're actually turning it?
Yep.
And then the last question I have, and it's one I don't care too much about. It's a straight axle gasser. It handles the way it handles, but for those people that are going to go, you have so much bar in the back of it, the car won't be streetable. What do you think?
Inherently, a ladder bar car is stiff anyway.
Yeah.
So it's, we have a really long ladder bar, so that's why we're getting the chassis flex. Like a traditional 32-inch ladder bar is stiff anyway. It's going to be like a swing arm. They usually don't have to have an anti-roll bar, but with this long arm, it needs it. It's going to be, a toss-up. It's not going to be a Cadillac, but it's not going to be a buggy either.
Yeah, it wasn't a Cadillac before.
Right.
It just, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, so the upper holes were actually slotted vertically.
Yeah.
What do you think they did that?
They were oblong. You have, when you're adjusting pinion angle, this type of ladder bar is gonna grow, shorter or taller, but we're set to where it needs to be. So we weld the washers in, so it's locked down. Our pinion angle set, everything's done. So we shouldn't need the oblong. We need the stiffness more than anything right now. So
Yeah, repeatability.
right.
Everything's staying in one place from one pass to the next. That'd be great. was winching Blasphemi up inside the new ramp truck, and the winch just stopped working. And then I noticed this. The truck's idling, and the exhaust is coming right through this wall. Apparently we've got a little bit of a leak there. Let's address that. Stay tuned for more updates on this channel as I get Blasphemi and the ramp truck ready for an epic cross-country road trip to go saw off Jon Chase from Hoonigan.